to the MMA Fan Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Stu and Blake.
Hello and welcome to the MMA Fan Show. I'm Stu Whiffin. Joining me, as always, Blake Harrison. Hello, sir.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm right. We always do that little posh bit when we introduce each other, don't we? Or you normally just go, Stuart, for about 15 minutes.
I know. That's how I get into character as the MMA presenter. I either have to sing something or be incredibly posh.
Okay.
It's quite counterproductive, really, or counterintuitive to MMA podcasting, really, singing and acting all posh. But, you know.
How are you?
We do what we can. You just wanted to cut me off there. Blake's rambling on about a load of shit. How are you, mate? Come on. Let's get past all this nonsense. Keep it moving, guys. Yeah, fine. It was a bit of a busy weekend for me. And also, well, let's not beat around the bush. It wasn't a great card. Is that rude of me to say? It wasn't. Basically, every fight on the main card went to a decision. And sometimes you get amazing decisions. I know the Magny Malott fight technically wasn't a decision, but it was 12 seconds away from one. And yeah, I think I wanted a little bit more excitement and fun overall.
We're obviously talking UFC 297. On this show, we will be taking a look back over all the action and, I guess, in some places, lack of. It was just, for a numbered card, it felt
a bit flat.
I felt a little deflated at the end of it. I was like, I watched the main card first.
Me too.
I got up early Sunday morning, watched the main card. And then I've got to be honest, I weren't in any rush to watch the prelims. I actually went to the Fight Pass prelims to watch our boy Sam Patterson.
Me too. Yeah, I did exactly the same thing.
And then watched the prelim card.
Yeah. Shall I tell you what also really messed me up?
Go on.
My son has taken to getting hold of my wife's phone when they're in the car and they do swimming of a Sunday morning. And he's taken to just getting hold of my wife's phone and sending me random GIFs and stickers. Right. And honestly, to the point where I'll look at my phone and there's 98 stickers of just like a dinosaur with its head blowing off, a fish with big eyes. Like, that's what he's doing at the moment, just relentlessly sending them to me. Yeah, hilarious. And he was sending me some gifts and stuff, and I was like, oh, for goodness sake. And I thought, I'll reply to him because he's just going to keep sending me like 50 at a time. And as I looked in the gifs, I saw a gif of Dricus Du Plessis with the belt.
No.
Yes.
I was shit, mate.
Fuming. I couldn't believe it. I'd stayed off social media.
Yeah.
I'm really good with stuff. My mates know not to text me if they start like I could not believe
it. Well, shit, mate.
And I had to wait 5 rounds for it as well. And I thought, oh, come on then, Dricus, do this really quick so that I can see how you got the belt on it. And I had to wait for 20 odd minutes of it. Yeah, it wasn't a great way to watch the card. So that did negatively impact my enjoyment of the card as well. Yeah. Was the fact that I think I knew the result beforehand, which sucked. But yeah, should we
look, before we jump on, I just want to address that camera in the middle there and say thank you loads for supporting this, because we've been looking at our stats and everything's going upwards. So it's been really nice to see that. So huge thanks to everybody that's still listening and has come over to YouTube to watch the show as well. And big shout out to a fantastic comment we got at the weekend, which was a video of me and Blake talking about there being a new show out. The first comment on there was, this is my favourite father-son podcast duo.
Yeah.
I think we know what way that's going, yeah?
Yeah. Cheers, Dad.
Right. Let's start with what we thought was going to be. I mean, this did get fight of the night.
To be fair, it wasn't a bad fight. It wasn't like because they're such both forward pressure fighters and because the build up to this fight was what it was, I was expecting more of a crazy all-out war. But actually, it was still just a really good fight. And I have to say, I think with both of them impressed me. I mean, we were talking in the preview show about, like, are these two the best two middleweights in the world? And you, to be fair, were particularly dismissive of Sean Strickland. And I think they've got a case. I think we've seen Strickland beat Adesanya. We've seen Du Plessis beat Strickland and Robert Whittaker. Khamzat Chimaev is out there, sure. Israel Adesanya could come back. But there is a world in which we're looking at the two best middleweights on the planet. And I thought they put out a really good performance, both of them. I have to say, I scored it for Strickland.
Did you?
I did.
Dana White did.
Dana White did. He did. I gave Strickland rounds 1, 2, and 5. I think 2 and 3 are quite interchangeable. They could go anyway, but I gave Strickland 1, 2, and 5. How did you score it? And do you think the right
Strickland,
man won?
round 1. I gave 2, 3, 4, and 5 to Dricus.
Wow, so you gave it a 49-46? Mm-hmm. You can't give 5 to Dricus.
5 did I give? Sorry, no. 1, 2, 3, 4 to Dricus, 5 and 1 to Strickland. Sorry, my bad.
I was about to let loose.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. I think again, 2, 3, 4 maybe can be quite interchangeable, particularly 2 and 3. But yeah, I scored it for Sean Strickland. And look, I'm very happy. I'm very happy that a man like Sean Strickland, after what he did in his media day as well, where he was absolutely going to town on this journalist called Alexander K. Lee, who I actually really like. I think he's a good journalist over at MMA Fighting. He was asking questions about Strickland's previous tweets about LGBTQ community and stuff like that, and pulling him up on that. I think good on him for doing that. But Strickland's response was to call him like an infection and a weak man and all this stuff. And then some other people would trolling the journalist, I believe, and saying that and even Dana came out and said that Sean was baited. I'm like, he wasn't baited. If he's saying this stuff, if he's saying the horrible stuff that he says, and his star is growing, I don't understand it, but his star is growing because of the horrible stuff he's saying, then it's fair game to bring it up. You can't just have it one way. You can't be like, I'm going to say all this awful, horrendous stuff about a group of people, and then when someone calls me out on it, they're the snowflake and they are just they're just doing it for clicks, or they're just... No, you're gaining from saying this stuff, so people can bring it up in a negative way as well.
Blake, I think it's important that these conversations are being had, because so much of that MMA community seems to be falling in love with Sean Strickland. And, when he walked out in Toronto, Ontario, the roar for him was huge. Yeah. And it's thankfully what we saw at the end of the fight prior to the Strickland fight kind of was a really good look for MMA. I think seeing Pennington in there with Tisha Torres and their babies and stuff like that just looked wonderful. Yeah. And that's the sort of messages that he's going to progress MMA to a wider audience and not dumbass comments by Sean Strickland, former champ Sean Strickland. And just the post-fight when they said to Dana, are you going to... He asked her, I can't think who it was that asked Dana that question. I'm sure he was from the UK. It sounded like it. And he said, calling him out on what Strickland was saying and stuff like that in press conferences. And then I think he's referenced that, keeping him on a leash. And
Dana was like, I don't have a leash. No one's on a leash. And
but again, he just said it's the fight business. And, if you don't, who Sean Strickland is, you ask questions like that, you know what you're going to get. It's like, well, no, you shouldn't. You shouldn't get that, because it's just not cool. And I don't know.
I think ultimately people don't realise that there's a lot of easily influenced people out there. And when you've got a man that says women's MMA is rubbish and wearing a T-shirt saying all women should be in the kitchen or something to that effect, a woman in every kitchen, a gun in every hand, was it? Sean Strickland 2020. And I know that he's probably just going, this is funny. It's like I'm running for president and this is the campaign I would run on. And I get that there are people that go, he's just having a laugh. It's just a joke. But... there will be people out there that subscribe to that way of thinking, and that will influence the relationships they have with people around them. And people will be affected by that. So when there's a community that is particularly in America with, religion being what it is over there and a very kind of anti-gay narrative in that, when you've got a community like that and they're, lauding a man like Sean Strickland for saying what he says, and there will be gay people within that community. Think about the lives of those people and how negatively it's impacting them. Stuff like this and the influence that a UFC champion has. A UFC champion has a big influence. So to say that their words mean nothing and it's just a joke, it's just not true.
Yeah.
Because as we've seen from interactions on social media, the trolls, all that kind of stuff, there is a big impact and it can be far-reaching. And, it's concerning, particularly if you're part of that community. I'd imagine it's incredibly concerning hearing someone like him with the platform he has saying what he says and there's no kind of ramifications or punishments for it. So
he's not the champ anymore, so who cares?
Yeah, but I have to say, look, as much as we on this show will be very honest about who we like and don't like because of certain things about their personality and what they say and do, and it goes against what we believe, I will judge the fights as fairly as I possibly can.
Yeah, 100%.
And for me, Sean Strickland could be one of the best, and he could be the best middleweight in the world because he beat Adesanya, and on my scorecards, he beat Dricus. I know he's not on the judges' scorecards, but on my scorecards, he won round 1, 2, and 5. And I think his jab is phenomenal. The 1-2s is it's like a piston coming at you. That 1-2, it defensively such a good striker. Dricus was really struggling to me for the first round and a half to even get near him.
He took him down piece of piss in that first round.
Yeah, but that means nothing. He got up piece of piss, didn't he?
He did, right? And again, I scored that round for Sean, and his jab and was phenomenal, and he just asserted that range and pace very quickly. In round 2, what did I write down for this? Dricus seemed to be throwing some pretty wild shots, and I was thinking, people have questioned his gas tank pre-nose job, and he was just throwing these wild overhands that were missing by some distance. I'm thinking, you're going to blow yourself out here.
Yeah.
And again, Sean controlling that pace, keeping him away with that jab. Again, took him down easily, Dricus did. And then you started to see that swelling over that eye at the end of the second round. But I thought that he was doing enough with sort of the shots to win the second. I think in that third round, Dricus really found his range more and started to kind of... And it felt like... Do you know what was weird, right? Sean Strickland never looks out of breath.
No. Unbelievable gas tank.
He's never puffing. But I did think in that third round he started to look a bit one-dimensional. The pace slowed a little bit, but it was just like that jab. And yes, that jab's super effective. Probably the best jab in UFC. And
hard push to find someone with a better jab in the UFC.
But I think Dricus was asserting more forward pressure then and connecting more. That's why I scored that round to Dricus. Round 4 we saw Sean cut, but he was landing solid right hands. Dricus, I think them hands were landing because Dricus, I think there was so much blood in his eyes. He kept sort of moving it to see. Again, Dricus was getting takedowns. And so that's why I gave that one to round 4 to Dricus. And then, like I say, I felt in the 5th round, Dricus was pushing with a variety of kicks and shots. He'd come out. I think they both realised that this could potentially be the round that, that decides the outcome of the fight. I thought the last 30 seconds were fun. Yep. They both bit down on the gum shields and through, but I just didn't think it was... Well, I don't know. I suppose I can see why it was fight of the night. I don't know. It just disappointed me. I wanted more. I wanted a finish. I wanted Dricus to make a statement. And
But is that not just a testament to how good Sean Strickland actually is as a fighter? Because I think Dricus did really, really well. And I think that whole gas tank thing, that's the thing of the past now. He's just gone 5 rounds with a cardio machine, Sean Strickland. And on the judges' scorecards, not mine, but on the judges' scorecards, which is the one that matters, he won the fight. So I personally think I don't think I'm going to be bringing up Dricus's gas tank ever again.
No.
It's done now.
He looked like he was puffing, but it didn't slow him down at all.
No, he went for it. It was phenomenal. And his face was pieced out. Both of them walked through it. Because you say Strickland had a really nasty cut. Dricus's face at the end of the fight in that post-fight press conference is all over the shop.
Absolutely.
I think what was unfortunate was it was such a long card until it got to that main event. Had there been a finish in the fight before and a finish in the fight before that or something like that, then I think this 5-round fight would have been much more palatable for people.
Good point, mate.
But because I think it was good, but it was good, but not amazing, and it was at the end of a really long main card that wasn't the most exciting.
Main that no one was really that excited about.
No,
and it didn't deliver fireworks either.
No,
so.
And we will obviously be getting onto that, and we have to speak about that. But before we do, I suppose what we got to ask ourselves is what's next for both of them? Because again, look, we say what we say about Sean. I don't want to keep going over it, but he's really bloody good. And I think we've underestimated Sean Strickland for a really long time. And now he's at like kind of the peak of his powers. And I tell you what, you match Strickland up against anyone in that middleweight division, and I think he's got a really good chance of winning. A really good chance. You're not convinced, are you? You're not convinced?
I think if we see a win from Bobby Knuckles in a few weeks' time, I think he beats Sean Strickland.
I'm not convinced. I'd love that fight, though.
Yeah,
that is a fight I'd love to see.
I think Hamzat beats him comfortably.
But you see the way Strickland gets up. And also, I tell you what, Hamzat, I don't know that he's got a gas tank on him. Hamzat versus Strickland in a 5-round fight? I don't know, man. I'd maybe slightly favour Strickland. I don't know. Maybe I'm sounding crazy now. Hamzat could take him down. I think he could definitely take him down. Can he keep him down? Strickland's so good at getting to his feet. We're talking about a match that's probably never going to happen. But like,
all right, so I
don't know. I just want to be really transparent about the fact that I'm not letting my dislike of what he says and stands for affect my opinions on him as a fighter, and I just like to make that clear because I think that wouldn't be right. But let's get on to what's next for the champ. What's next for Dricus Du Plessis? Do you think?
Right. Well, look, the narrative's there for Izzy, right?
At UFC 300. That's what I'm hearing is that Bilal Leon is no longer a UFC 300 fight, and it will be Dricus and Izzy. Dana says he's going to announce something next week.
That's a bigger fight than Bilal Leon.
Yeah, obviously. That goes without saying, doesn't it?
That's a huge fight. I guess that makes sense. Right, so
makes a lot of sense. Is Dricus going to be... I mean, his face took an absolute beating, didn't it? Is he going to be ready in time?
So, just looking at the middleweights, right, we mentioned Hamzat there. Like, are we going to see Pereira back at middleweight anytime?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
You don't think he just thinks, do you know what? I'll come back. I'll iron out Dricus.
No.
No?
No.
Good call, Chapro.
No, absolutely not. He's getting older. The weight cut is a lot. You think there's a big... It's not like featherweight to lightweight or anything like that. It's a big jump between light heavy and middle. He's like 20 pounds? Like, it's a lot of weight. He's a big lad even at light heavyweight, really. I don't know how he ever made middleweight. He's a champion. Why is he going to go and... Nah.
Do you think Dricus will go up?
Not yet. There's too many contenders. I also would hate that. Just my own personal thing is I want 3 title defences before you even think about moving up. Like, I don't even want to see Islam Makhachev move up yet. I want to see him defend that belt again before he even thinks about moving up. So, yeah, no, I don't want to see it. I think Dricus is aware that he'd need to get a couple of belts, but Dricus has mentioned that he'd like to do it, but I don't really want to see it. I think Izzy at UFC 300 is what they're going to try and do.
Yeah.
I mean, and that makes UFC 300
When's 300?
April 13th. It's a quickish turnaround, but you're Dricus Du Plessis, yeah, and they're going, we want you to turn around quick, which he had a problem with last time, but it was only like 6 weeks last time. This is a bit longer. But it's not just for a title shot or something like that against Izzy. This is, you're headlining UFC 300. Maybe Conor will beat it in terms of pay-per-view buys, but this UFC 300 will be up there as one of the all-time pay-per-view buys. You've got, let's say Dricus is fighting Adesanya. Then you've got Holloway, Gaethje. You've got, is it Sarukian and Oliveira, Keita, Sterling. I'm sure there's other matchups. Bobby Green, Jim Miller. Yuri versus Rakic. That card is absolutely stacked. And you can be the main guy at the top of that bill with all those pay-per-view points.
I mean...
Yes, I mean, come on.
So what's the conversation he's going to have with himself? Like
huge
that,
money.
Everything you've just said there is everything you want as a fighter. However, he's going to be sitting there today sore as shit. You know, you wonder how much damage that eyes took. You wonder, is his nose bust again? I don't know. So I guess he's going to think, do I sit this out and wait and see if they organise a UFC in Africa? And if that's the case, I fight Izzy there because the narrative is leaning towards that being a great fight to headline in Africa. I don't know. I mean, the allure of 300 is the biggest thing, isn't it?
I think as long as he's not got like broken bones or torn ligaments or something like that, something serious. If it's just kind of like tissue damage, face damage, whatever it is, you know, I think you got to go for it, man.
Yeah.
I think you got to go for it. It's just so much money. It's so much money to fight a guy like Izzy and to have the undercard that card will have.
Yeah.
Zhang Wei Li defending her belt as well against Yan Jinan. I think it's a no-brainer. As long as you're physically capable of doing it, I think it's a no-brainer. Because the money will be astronomical with those pay-per-view points as a champ.
Yeah, absolutely. Ian Gary chimed in on Sean Strickland.
All right, I didn't see this.
Yeah, just basically saying just how poor that fight was. And Harry's definitely sort of thinking at some point he'll move up. And
I mean, I don't think it was a poor fight. I think that those two guys are actually way better than we ever thought they were.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a poor fight at all. I think Strickland is a really difficult guy to work out. I think he's really tough to work out. Do
you not think that Bobby Knuckles just wrestles him comfortably?
No, because I haven't seen anyone be able to keep him down. Who's kept him down? Take him down, yeah, but who's kept him down? Dricus did no. Dricus big brothered Robert Whittaker on the ground. He took him down with that judo throw and just pieced him up. Like the bell saved Robert Whittaker in that first round, really, because he was on the floor getting elbowed.
Why don't you like Robert Whittaker anymore? What's
love
happened?
Robert Whittaker. Don't do that to me. But
I can't believe you
couldn't
now
do it
like
to
Sean Strickland and don't like Bobby Knuckles.
You know, you're such an
Honestly.
idiot. No, but he couldn't. Dricus couldn't do that to Sean Strickland. Could he? He couldn't.
No, you're right. You're right.
And again, I told you that Strickland's fought mainly strikers. We said this in the preview show. He hasn't fought many wrestlers. And he was still able to get back to his feet. The last person to be able to do to him what Dricus did was Kamaru Usman down at welterweight. And again, Usman kind of dominated him, but he didn't keep him down for ages.
And I mean, we've got to see what else Usman's plans are at middleweight, right?
Yeah, I mean, Usman, I have no idea what he's doing. I'd like to see Usman up at middleweight. I think he should do that, but who knows? He might drop back down to welter. I'm not sure. The guys out there, I think the Izzy fight will happen. I think that's what's going to happen. And I think who's left is Strickland could fight Khamzat in an amazing number one contender fight. I mean, I don't really like that so much because I don't want to see Strickland beat Khamzat and then get an immediate title shot. It's a bit like the Oliveira thing. Oliveira beat Beneil Dariush. He now has to fight Sarukian before getting the belt. I don't like the idea. Even though they did book it, I was never a fan of Oliveira just fighting one guy, winning and then getting a title shot again, even though he had a few title defences. Strickland hasn't defended that belt. He's lost it immediately. He should go and get two wins before doing it. So if you've put him up against Khamzat now, then that feels like a number one contender fight. So I wouldn't want to see that. Maybe he goes and fights, I don't know, a Brendan Allen or someone on the rise in that division.
Yeah, let's not sleep on Brendan Allen, mate.
No, I think he's good. I mean, I'll tell you who's coming up. Maybe, is it the next pay-per-view? Is Ikram Aliskerov. That guy looks the business at middleweight. So...
Who's he fighting? Dolidze?
I don't know. No, he's not fighting Dolidze. Imavov's fighting Dolidze in like a fight night. I don't think he's fighting anyone of note. He's not fighting anyone ranked or anything like that. But just wait. 2025 could be the year of Aliskerov as long as he stays fit and healthy. But anyway, let's move on. Raquel Pennington.
Did you call this? Did you say it's going to be a lot of pushing against the cage?
I did say that.
I think you did, didn't you?
I tell you what, I called that there's a very big possibility for that. I mean... I also called that. I wanted Bueno Silva to win, and I said I thought Bueno Silva could win it. But one thing I did say was that as the fight goes on, I can see Pennington, the momentum shifting in Pennington's favour and her winning. I didn't really realise how quickly that momentum would shift. It was like halfway through the second round, Bueno Silva was just like, I am shattered. And I expected that to happen in like the third or fourth. I didn't expect it to happen so quick. And it really let her down because I think technique-wise, in that clinch with the elbows, definitely in terms of the grappling and submission attempts, Bueno Silva's better. The problem was she got knackered after about 7 minutes.
I think in that tie clinch she is, but I think there was a lot of wrestling involved in that. And I don't know. I thought Pennington just controlled her really easily. You know, not in the first round.
That's what I'm saying. I think it was tiredness that did it. I don't think it was skill set. I think Bueno Silva got absolutely just shattered, and then that was it. Pennington just took over from there.
Yeah, I thought it was. I mean, don't get me wrong. Seeing Pennington get the strap, great. She's put a good shift in over the years, you know. Yeah. And it was lovely, as we said earlier.
35 years old or something as well. You know, like that's quite old for. Is she maybe the oldest ever female champion? Possibly. Potentially, I think.
And you know, great to, as we mentioned earlier, seeing her with Tisha in there afterwards, you know, just absolutely a much better look for MMA.
I agree.
And great to see the former champ in the crowd as well, giving the hugs out as well, and talking about how much he loves Pennington and Tisha. And yeah, it's just a great look. But yeah, I mean, I think Peña's obviously there in the rafters, isn't she, with plenty to say.
She's made a lot of noise.
And
good luck to Peña, because I don't think anyone massively cares about her fight style. She was very verbal in trying to get the Nunes fight, and then she did it, and she won that first fight, which was shocking. And from that point on, she's a former champ, and she's the person that beat the GOAT, even though Amanda Nunes righted that wrong immediately afterwards.
And she's a bigger name than Pennington.
Yeah, but that's the thing. But what I'm saying is credit to her, because I think she does a lot of talking that helps her out. And whether you agree with it or disagree with it or whatever, she is, again, she's not being horrible and offensive or anything like that to groups of people, but she is, you know, talking trash about her opponents, all that stuff. I mean, she was on Helwani, like, pretending to announce that this fight was happening because no one was talking about it. That's kind of amusing. It's, you know, it's disrespectful.
It's very
funny.
It's
funny. Yeah. And it's like, you know, well, yeah, good on you then, because you're going to get that fight next.
Yeah.
And does she have the chance to beat Pennington? For sure. Pennington's on a great run, though. Let's not underestimate the fact. I think she's on a 6-fight win streak now.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. But the problem is, Raquel Pennington is not traditionally a finisher. She is not the most exciting fighter in the world. And having her as champ doesn't do a huge amount for the division. It's great for her. I'm really pleased for her.
Yep.
But it doesn't set the division on fire. And I kind of felt like Bueno Silva, coming off of 3 finishes, one of them against Holly Holm, and that you don't see that very often. If she'd have won this fight, and I think the only way she would have won it was by finish, that's excitement. That's like, oh, we've got someone in here that's finishing people. That's someone you can get behind. This is less so, less exciting. So,
shall we move on?
Let's move on. And can we skip to Arnold Allen?
I'm just not sure which one I've lined up next. Oh, I have, that's good.
Well, look at that.
There's the almighty.
There's the almighty one. I feel like Allen was slightly hard done by. I personally, and I know I'm a huge Arnold, this is where my bias can take effect. I'm a huge Arnold Allen fan, and I also think he's a lovely, lovely bloke. But for me, I gave round 1 to Arnold Allen. Mm-hmm. Because I think predominantly because of the body shots. I think he was ripping to the body really well.
Throughout the whole fight.
Yep. And I think he blocked a lot of Evloev's strikes, and Evloev's wrestling that he was able to get off wasn't like impactful. We didn't like slam him down or anything like that. So I gave round 1 to Allen. I think round 2 easily the clearest fight of the round. And that was Evloev jumping knee, sat him down with a jab a little bit. That was a good round for Evloev. And then round 3, I think Allen again. I think Allen ripped body. I think it was clear that Allen won round 3, in my opinion. The illegal knee stuff, that was a tricky one. I've seen Goddard come out with a tweet about it. And the problem seems to be, as for a fan as well, is like these different states and different parts of the world seem to have different rules for what constitutes a grounded opponent.
Right.
That's so frustrating, man. It must be hard for the fighters as well, because it's like, me as a fan, I'm watching it and I'm going, hang on, a couple of weeks ago or recently, I can't think of the fighters involved, but we've seen fighters get into that kind of front headlock position and lift the fighter up and knee them in the head, and a fighter was sort of like dragging their hand slightly on the floor, and the ref was like, no, those strikes are legal because you have to be like placed on the floor. You can't be just dragging your hand. You have to be placed. So you go, oh, that's the rule. And then they end up in Ontario or wherever they were on Saturday night, and he's like, no, that was illegal because his fingers were dragging on the canvas. You're like, why can't it just be the same everywhere? Give us all a chance to fully understand it. So that, I think, is really frustrating. And I think the other thing is, it'd be interesting to know how the judges score those knees. Because, again, from my interpretation of it, the last one was illegal, but the other ones, he was able to lift him and knee him. I don't know which knee caused the cut. It could have been a multitude of them or whatever, but out of 4 knees, one of them was borderline illegal, or was illegal, whatever. But 3 of them might have been legal, and maybe those are the 3 that caused the cut and did loads of damage. In that case, those knees, the legal ones, should be scored fairly, and the other ones shouldn't be scored. But if those early knees caused that cut and did so much damage, which I think they did, then that is definitely Arnold Allen's round.
Okay. Right, I'm going to open up the rankings here to see, what this means. So we're now going to see Movsar ranked number 4. Can
we talk a little bit more about the fight?
Okay.
Just because I think that
I didn't score it the same as you.
Tell me how you scored it.
I thought Arnold took the first round, but I thought he lost 2 and 3.
You thought he lost 3?
Yeah.
I thought he was clearer that he won 3 than won 1.
Really?
Yeah.
I did think them body shots in the first round were really noticeable, but you just wonder what these judges are looking for. You know, I thought Arnold done really well when he was wrestled. There was some really interesting kind of.
He was great.
Yeah, and fucking hell, he's one of our favourite fighters. We love Arnold Allen, and I just think it's a real. I mean, do you know what?
Can I say as well? I hope I'm all right saying this. I messaged Arnold,
right,
and I said to him, like, hard luck type thing. Hope you're okay. I thought you won rounds 1 and 3. And and I wished him all the best. And he came back to me, and I hope it's okay me saying this. He said, I thought so too. And I don't know if he would have watched it by that point or if it's just how he felt in the fight itself. Maybe his fight mind would change if he's watched it or whatever, I don't know. But it just must be so disheartening to go out there and think you win. And a lot of people, I think, thought he won. I don't think I'm on my own saying I thought he won that fight. And you don't get it. You just get the one paycheck. And not only that, but that it really halts his progression, as you're about to talk about, I guess, in the rankings. It's such a shame. And I need to mention one more thing. Dominic Cruz on the commentary.
Right.
I thought he had a mare. I mean, he was talking about... And look, Dominic Cruz, as a technical analyst, is, I think, one of the best in the world. I think he's brilliant. Far be it from me to overly criticise someone that's been a former champion of the UFC and has been a pundit for so long. But when he, in 2 fights... was talking about, well, it's scored on damage and look at the cut on his face. Like Arnold Allen had that cut under his eye, and then later on I think they spoke about the cut in the... I think they were looking at either the damage on Dricus' face or the cut on Strickland or whatever. And Cruz's thing was he was trying to say, well, the judges are going to give it to Evloev because of the cut under Allen's... under his eye. It's like, but that's not how fights are scored, mate. It's scored round by round. You don't, and John Anik even had to pull him up on it in the Dricus and Strickland fight. He let it go with the Allen Evloev fight, but then he had to stop him in the Dricus and Strickland fight and say, you know, mate, that's not how fights are scored. They're scored round by round. You can't say, oh, look at the damage on his face. It's like, yeah, but what round was that done in? If you absolutely smash my face up in round 1, but then I beat you in rounds 2 and 3, I win because I've won the rounds. It's not about accumulative damage across the fight. It's about the damage within that round. And I found it really frustrating. And that, because obviously it was against Arnold as well. It extra annoyed me. And I really felt like he did a bad job there. And he sold Arnold short because he was trying to propagate a narrative of like, oh, Arnold should lose this fight because of this cut under his eye. And it's like, no, mate, that happened, I believe, in the second round. So he lost the second round, sure, but 1 and 3, they're up for grabs. Anyway, that's me just getting on my soapbox and having a little rant.
So Max has got a fight lined up. Ortega, Yair's got fights lined up.
Yep.
Ilia Topuria has obviously got something coming up big.
Yep.
Josh Emmett is fighting...
No one, is he?
He's got... No. Josh Emmett...
He was hoping to get the Max Holloway fight, but that's now not going to happen. Obviously, so he's coming off that huge win over...
Bryce Mitchell, didn't he?
He did.
I don't know if Josh... if Bryce Mitchell's come round yet.
That fight could make sense, you know, Arnold versus Josh.
But Evloev, what's next for him?
For me, I mean... I think it'll be hard to make this happen because I think there's too many things going on. I'd give him a title shot. I think his next fight could be a title shot. He's 18-0. All right, I don't feel like he won this fight in the scorecards, but it was a close fight and he did really, really well in it. Like, I'm not saying it was a robbery or anything. I think he lost the fight, but by no means a robbery. It was round 1 was close. I really want to see him fight Topuria, man. But then the problem is if Volk beats Topuria, I think you can throw Evloev against Volk next. I think that makes all the sense in the world. If Topuria beats Volk, then the chances are Volk's going to get an immediate rematch. And if Topuria beats Volk and Max Holloway... Well, if Max Holloway beats Gaethje for the BMF belt, surely he's doing more up at lightweight. Maybe he's getting a crack at the lightweight belt. Who knows? But... it'd be really interesting to see what happens with Max Holloway, because if he loses, he could... I don't know that you'd want to give him a title shot off the back of a loss. So maybe Evloev gets like a Max Holloway fight.
Or maybe he gets the winner of Ortega...
What, Max Holloway?
No, Evloev. Yeah,
Evloev,
that's what I'm saying. If that's tied up and Volk gets the rematch against Topuria... What else is there for Evloev?
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The winner of Yair Ortega makes a lot of sense, because the other thing is Volk is clearing out that division. You know, if you go back to the rankings a second, like we look down at those rankings and see who Volk has beaten on his run as champ. He's beaten number 1 Max Holloway, number 2, number 3 he's going to fight number 5. I mean, Arnold Allen, obviously, he's coming off 2 losses now. He's not going to get in there. Josh Emmett, with another win, could get in there. But, yeah, it's like Volk has done enough to clear out the top of that division. So it needs fresh blood. I'd happily throw Evloev straight in there, especially if Max is busy doing other stuff at lightweight. And obviously Max can't fight Volk again. No one wants to see that fight a 4th time. So, yeah, it's so much could happen on the back of Ilia Topuria versus Volk at UFC 298. I think that's going to be a huge, catalyst for like what happens next with that division.
Okay. Should we move on?
Yeah, let's move on. What one do you want to talk?
No.
Why have you done this?
Because I couldn't concentrate for the whole of that fight because Mike Malott, he's the spitting image of Stifler. I could not deal with it.
Why? I don't think he looks like him at all,
Oh my God,
does he?
He pulls that face right there all the time. And every time he was doing it, I was like, I can't deal with this. I cannot deal.
I don't see it. I don't know what you're seeing. I don't know why
I'm seeing
you're seeing
Stifler.
I'm just going to have to gloss over that because I don't. How does that look like Stifler? He looks nothing like him.
I'm going to pull up some more pictures of when he goes full Stifler, mate.
Oh,
that
goodness
sounds rude.
me.
Right.
Well, what a comeback. What a comeback for Neil Magny. Can I read to you what I wrote in my notes because I left it in here with 2 minutes left of the fight?
Right. Okay.
With 2 minutes left of the fight.
So this is going to be you being a smug tosser, isn't it?
No.
Oh.
No. With 2 minutes left of the fight, this is what I had written down.
Right.
Is Magny done? He's been dominated twice by these contenders. Are Malott and Gary that good? Or has Magny deteriorated? Maybe Magny is now a gatekeeper to the rankings rather than a gatekeeper within the rankings. And then I looked up from my little iPad and I went, oh, where's Malott gone? Magny is absolutely smashing him to pieces. I don't know if I remember a fight changing so dramatically, so quickly. Do
you think it was that dramatic?
Yeah.
Like I thought Malott was blowing like long before that.
I didn't see it. I just saw Malott dominate him for what I felt was 12 and a half minutes of the fight. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, Magny got to his feet after being on the ground and slammed him down, and Malott had nothing. He had nothing off his back. He had no energy. It was just.
He looked like he just gave up.
At the end of the fight, it wasn't like he had suffered a huge knockout.
He did not get up.
He didn't get up. He was sat there with ice on. Someone was putting
He
ice
wasn't
on his
there
face
when
he
they raised
cross-legged.
Magny's hand either.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, as the fight was announced, the winner was announced. Whatever, Bruce Buss was there announcing that Magny won. He didn't even get up and stand next to whoever was refereeing. I don't know if it was Goddard or whoever, and be there to clap him or to just be there as fighters usually do. Fighters get knocked out severely, and they're there doing that. He was just sat down with his coach icing his face, and he couldn't even get up.
I think some
really
of that
bad
was
on
just
the cardio.
You're at home. This is your big homecoming. You know, this is.
You think it was emotional?
I think a lot of that was like, I don't know how to deal with this.
Right, interesting.
Because, don't get me wrong, he was raining down blows. But for me, watching that fight, Malott was throwing lots of leg kicks. Mm-hmm. And I just felt that like he weren't using his hands. And his striking's really good. And he just didn't seem to be doing that as much as I think he should have. But what do I know? But
I mean, I thought he did everything right for about 12 and a half minutes.
Yeah.
He was in complete control of that fight. Mm-hmm. Complete control. Leg kicks in the first round, takedowns and ground game sets, showing an all-round game. And then it just, I don't know, it just evaporated. It just
he
went.
must have just thought, look, do you know what? I'm getting very, very comfortable at this gate, which opens to the 170 rankings. And I ain't going to give that up. And I am just going to finish this fight now. And that's what Magny done. Secured that little placement, standing at the gates of that division.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was so shocked. I was really shocked when that happened. I couldn't believe what I was watching when he just started.
I was happy for Neil Magny.
I was kind of happy for Neil Magny.
Because he got he got absolutely humiliated by Ian Gary, and that was a beatdown. And I think, to be the guy walking into that arena fighting the next prospect in his hometown, it was all stacked against him, and it looked like it was all going against him. Neil Magny pulled it off.
Yeah.
Good on him. Good on him.
Good on him. Good on him. Keeps his ranking, and I don't know what's next for Malott. He has to go back to the drawing board, but he looked great for most of that fight.
He did, but he just blew his Malott at the
end. Let's move on. We can skip over Curtis and Barrio because it wasn't a great fight. Round 3 was fun at the end. They just started scrapping at the end, but it was a bit too little too late, really.
It was too little too late. I tell you, didn't muck about our boy Sam Patterson.
Oh, mate, phenomenal stuff. Well done, Sam Patterson. I mean, I was like, I always get concerned when fighters move up in weight because as much as they're probably going to keep some durability, So
Sam's moved up to 170, hasn't he?
Yes, he's gone from lightweight to 170, which he sounds like he's very happy with, and he sounds like that's where he should have been maybe all along. We know that the weight cuts can deplete your durability as a fighter, and he got viciously knocked out by Ajmus in London last year in his debut. So... yeah, it's probably a good thing, but the only worry is obviously he's fighting people with way more power now. But if you don't let them hit you, it doesn't matter. And he didn't get hit, really, did he?
Absolutely.
And phenomenal stuff. Got it to the ground again, that kind of front headlock position, and he's so dangerous in there. He's got those long arms, those kind of blade-like slim arms that just when it going for those like. I saw a lot of ninja chokes being attempted throughout the night. I don't know why that's becoming like it's in fashion now or something. But, he's got that good kind of like DAS, ninja chokes, rear nakeds, all that kind of stuff. He's got a really good kind of choke game, really.
He said, didn't he, post-fight, once I've got you down, I've got you there. Like, I've got you back. I've got you. And, getting that finish, first round... again, fighting a Canadian in his own back garden, a real solid boost for Sam Patterson, and great to see. I mean, such a gent as well. The minute he didn't run.
What's he
round,
looking for? Did he drop a contact?
He just dropped his watch.
Dropped his contacts.
And, but just stood up, didn't celebrate, bowed to his opponent. And just double humble, And the Canadian, one of the early fights and one of the hometown boys. I don't think any Canadian men won that night.
No, I think they went 0-7. 2 women won. Jazz Davicius and Gillian Robertson won. Yeah. But I think the men were like 0-7. It was a bad night for the Canadian men.
I can't know what the stats were on. I think 8 out of... How many fights were there? 11 fights? I can't think how many there was.
I think there's more than those in fights. I think there was maybe like 14 or 15.
14. And I think it was something like... Was it like 11 of the favourites lost? Like, it was the betting stats, would lend you to...
Wow.
To see that was a bit of a crazy one. But... it gets the win, which is great. I spoke to Sam yesterday, and we was meant to have had him on in the lead up to this fight, but he got poorly. Great to see he's recovered, got that win, and he said when I get back from Canada, he will come into the studio and have a chat. So we're holding you to it, Sam. So we'll have our boy Sam Patterson in this studio very soon. We touched on the Chris Curtis fight. I mean, Chris Curtis does not excite me as a fighter in any way, shape or form. I know he's Sean Strickland's boy, and that's probably why he's on that card. He was on that card quite high, and I didn't really understand why that was after Evloev Allen. I don't know, but thought the fight was quite uninteresting. We need to touch on this.
Sure.
Frankie Edgar announced that he's going to get inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. I mean, what an absolute legend.
Yeah.
It was only a matter of time. I just think for what he also done in regards to kind of getting the UFC into New York, was fantastic. And just watching, from I guess for me very early on in my journey of watching MMA, Frankie was the man and continued to be the man. And win, lose or draw, just always an absolute gentleman and pro. And
I mean, it's funny. Like I missed a lot of the heyday of Frankie Edgar. That kind of, again, those BJ Penn fights and being a champion up at lightweight as well. So for me, Frankie Edgar was always that guy in like the kind of top 5 that was really good and scrappy, but never actually like a champion in the time that I was kind of watching the UFC regularly. And then obviously he dropped down to bantamweight and still did pretty well. Yeah. But towards the end of that career, especially after that Corey Sandhagen knockout, Jesus, that was brutal. It all started going a bit awry for him, and it's a shame that he didn't get the kind of Robbie Lawler retirement, because he fought Gutierrez, didn't he? And again, got knocked out quite quickly. Yeah. It's a shame that he didn't get more of the Robbie Lawler treatment, where he could walk off into the sunset and, with his hand raised and everything.
Sorry, Frankie, I tried to keep it really positive, and I thought I'm not going to mention the Sandhagen knockout because that's probably the last thing you want to talk about. Harrison here, chime straight in.
Sorry,
about
mate.
Your piss poor retirement and getting ironed out by Corey.
Oh, sorry, bro. I didn't mean that.
I mean...
But a legend.
Yeah,
and again,
now he says it.
But and what is amazing is that he was undersized and still a champ and still doing really, really well. Like, he should probably have been fighting at bantamweight his entire career, and he was up at lightweight smashing it. So well done him. Sorry about the Sandhagen thing.
Charles Woodson got a great win. And
this was so weird.
We're talking, obviously, Charles Jourdain and Sean Woodson at 145. Crazy, right?
It was just weird because Bruce Buffer announced it perfectly.
I didn't think so.
Yeah, he did.
I thought
I listened to it. It was absolutely fine.
I thought he said Charles Woodson.
No, he didn't. He said Sean Woodson.
Really?
There was what I've heard is that it was so loud in the arena at that moment in time that you couldn't quite hear what he said. The crowd erupted, which made Jourdain go, "Oh, it's me, I've won it." Woodson's gone, "Oh, he's thinking he's won it, so I haven't won it." And so there was confusion. Then DC has to come in and be like, "No, Sean won the fight. You didn't win the fight, Charles."
Yeah.
What
a kick in the dick for Jourdain.
It is. And it was a good fight.
Yeah.
I really liked that fight. I like both those fighters. I've been a big fan of Jourdain for a while. I think he's really good. And Sean Woodson's just got one of those body types that I like, where he's just really tall and long for the division. It just makes me think there's hope for me.
This is why you like Dan Hooker, isn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely. Anyone that's sort of like Jalen Turner, Dan Hooker, Sean Woodson, Zabit Magomedsharipov, they're my guys. The tall, skinny guys, they're my guys.
Love it. There were some other fights on the card, but I don't know, is there anything else you want to reference before we call time on this one?
No, Armfield beat Katona. That was a good fight, fun fight, competitive. Gillian Robertson, I think she's now like smashing it with records. Maybe she's got like, I know this was a TKO, but I don't know if she's got the most subs in women's MMA in the UFC.
Oh, okay.
But she's starting to get up there in records now. She's been around for a while, Gillian Robertson. Never a title challenger, but she's putting down the stats, I think, now, and she's one of these people that if she keeps going for a little bit longer, she'll have the records for maybe I don't know, octagon time, finishes, all that kind of stuff and stuff like that. So keep an eye out for Gillian Robertson.
Well, we've got a couple more events coming up very soon. Then it's time for 298, which is looking decent. 299, and 300's getting better.
When is 298?
About 3 weeks' time.
Oh, mama. Yeah, that's going to be a good one, I think. 299 is phenomenal. And then obviously 300 is looking really good now as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's Evloev, Delidze next, isn't it? I believe that's the next event coming up. I might be wrong, but I think
I'm trying to pull it up now. Really, what would be good is you could use this massive screen to do that, Stu, but don't worry about it, mate. Yeah, Delidze Imavov on February 4th. Hermanson Pfeiffer. And Joe Pfeiffer, that's a big step up for him. That's really, really good. But he does look very good. And then February 18th. Volkanovski, Topuria. Volkanovski always seems to fight around my wife's birthday. My wife's birthday is just sort of before that. And it means that I never get to watch the fights properly because we're doing something. It's annoying. She's very selfish, my wife, having birthdays around Volk fights.
Unbelievable.
It's true.
Thanks ever so much for listening or watching. If you're listening and you've not yet had a watch of this show, head over to YouTube, just search MMA Fan Show. Come and check out us in our Swish new studio. We'll be back next time. We've got some guests lined up. We'll hopefully have, as mentioned earlier, Sam Patterson, when he gets back from Canada, popping by. We've got some Cage Warriors stuff coming up that we're excited about, so hopefully tell you some more stuff about that in the future. Apart from that, we is done.
We is done.
We'll see you later.
Bye, guys.
Subscribe.